It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AmPace.
With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. Ulike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
Fran is ready.
Sports.
If Fran is ready, we'll bring him in. What's up, Fran?
What's up, big man? You're talking about Coach Raff?
We're talking about the 2026. They just released the announcers for the NCAA tournament.
I know. I did not make the cut again. It's man, I want to do that someday. I want to do that someday.
Fran, something tells me if you wanted to do that, you could do it. If that was your mission.
You know what? We've my agent and I have reached out, and it's all good. I mean, I know everybody who's doing those games, Pete. Great people. I replaced Steve Lapis at Manhattan, as you remember, when he went to Villanova. I know that's close to your heart. And no, they got a great crew. I'm going to be doing Westwood One's South Regional down right here in Houston, where I am tonight for Baylor Houston. So I'm good. I'm busy, and it's all good. But maybe someday I'll replace Raph. Maybe.
Well, hey, and Lapis, when you replace Lapis, your track record's pretty good. You end up you win a game in the tournament, you beat Oklahoma, and then you lost to Arizona State, which I was pulling for you. We were close.
Could have beat them. We got cheated. We did. We got cheated in that game. I mean, my bad call. Now the referees are great. They weren't great when I was coaching. But
hey, what do you think about? Let me ask you. What do you think about the refs this year? Like about like how have they been? We always talk about how many games they work, and nobody knows that landscape better than you.
Well, that's a big story because of last night in Phoenix, right? Bill Self gets ejected. Doug Sermons, who's a great official, he'll be in the Final Four. He threw him out. And then the old thing is, well, Doug's worked 9 days in a row, right? So he must be a little cranky. But I don't see it that way. First of all, we don't get upset with a kid that we're rooting for on our college team who shoots 68% from the line, right? We don't get mad when he goes 0 for 2 late in the game. But officials have to start out perfect and improve from there. And it's amazing to me, like they do affect some games. They do, Pete. But it's amazing to me, like how good they are. And yet if they miss 1 or 2 calls a game, they get criticized. Meanwhile, the kid that's shooting like 68% from the foul line, we never get on him for missing 32% of his free throws. It's a free throw, right? It's free. But yet the official's supposed to be perfect. So I think by and large in the Big 12, where I do most of my work in January and February, they're very good, but they're also human. They're human. They miss stuff. And when they miss stuff, I'm not afraid to call them out because they know I'm fair to them. When they have a good game, I say it. And by the way, when I see them at the airport in Lubbock, sometimes I'll go up to them and tell them, hey, I never mentioned you guys once last night. And they give me a high five. Because they want to be anonymous, they really do.
Yeah, and I know from you, from working with you and watching you and learning from you, guys like you, like as a play-by-play guy, I stay out of that. I let you guys handle it, and I respect the workload that those officials have, and it's not my job to call them out.
Yeah. No. Again, I know. See, first of all, you don't know this. I'm on the NCAA Rules Committee as a non-voting member, but they utilize my so-called expertise. But as you know from being around me, I know the rule book. I read it all year. And so when I do criticize, and I'm not always right, because sometimes I'll get a text from one of my officiating friends and they would say, during a game, I'll get a text and say, that was a great explanation of the cylinder foul, right? Or, no, that's not the rule. Remember in the last 2 minutes, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not perfect either, but I try to be on top of the rules because I'm supposed to be an expert. You know who Gene Steratore is, right?
Of course. Football, basketball, the whole deal.
So Gene and I have become good friends. He's a Western PA guy. You're an Eastern PA guy. And every now he loves when I say this. Like every now and then I'll say on a podcast, hey, listen, I don't need Gene Steratore, okay? And he likes that. But the point is, if you're an expert or you're an analyst, you're supposed to be an expert. And so I try to know the rules. But even I don't get them all right. And I kick myself every now and then when I explain it on TV and it's not actually correct.
Well, you guys nailed it. I'll give a living, breathing example. Just, 48 hours ago, I was watching Arizona and Iowa State and the goaltend, right? The hand hits the backboard and you and Boog were all over. I mean, right away, you said we were unsure as to how Torre had actually missed that. But then you said, watch again. The hand hits the backboard and you see the backboard move a little bit, and whether or not it actually affected the shot doesn't matter. Right. That's the rule.
That's the rule. So, and I don't even think it affected the shot, but
I don't think it did.
Those are, like if you're listening to me at home, and some people like me, some people don't like me. I'm not particularly popular in the state of Kansas with some people because they want me to kiss their ass every single game, and they don't like it when Baylor's good, right? Meanwhile, Bill Self, one of my close friends, the league has been built on the fact that everybody tried to chase Kansas for all the years they won it in a row, right? And because of Bill Self and Kansas's greatness, Texas Tech got good, Baylor got good, as you know, Iowa State got good. That became a great rivalry. Kansas almost never wins in Hilton Coliseum in recent years. So But again, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I try to be knowledgeable about the rules. I know the kids, I know the stories, the families, etc. And I think I have enough former coaching knowledge that I can say, hey, here's why I think this is a good strategy.
No, you do a hell of a job, and that's why I got all these questions lined up for you, and I'll get to them so we can get you out of here. First one off the top.
I got plenty of time.
First one off the top. Is this bottom for BYU?
They're not playing well. I got to see them on Saturday night. I mean, they're a disaster. In not only because they lost Richie Saunders, because remember they were like a 4 out of 5 game losing streak with Richie. Now, since he got hurt on February 14th against Colorado, they've really gone south, and they don't have depth. They lost 3 guys for season-ending injuries early in the season or before the season. Dallas, I think it's Dallas Baker, the Baker kid.
Dallas Baker, yep.
Yeah, I saw him get hurt in Orlando, and it was tragic, right in front of us. And then the kid Pickens from UC Riverside, he hasn't played all year. And then Richie gets hurt. Richie's an NBA player, so that hurts. And honestly, I'll say this, Pete. AJ DeBonsa is playing his butt off. I mean, this guy in the last 5 to 10 games is playing 37, 38 minutes. He's averaging in the mid-20s. I mean, I think he's going to end up being a number 1 pick, honestly. I don't like to say it early because I know how my NBA – I get it. I know I get criticized for being critical of the mock drafts. And those guys work hard. They do a good job. But I know for a fact no team has decided that this is the number 1 guy. But I think teams are starting to lean that way because of his reliability and availability, his competitiveness, vis-a-vis Darren Peterson, who's a great talent, but has had all these different maladies. And, there's like too much of a soap opera going on there.
Yeah, little bit too much. I want to ask about Arizona. You do a phenomenal job of illustrating that the core of that team. A lot of them are returning, and they've gotten better. We're talking about Mo Krivas, right?
Yeah.
Tobe Awaka, Jaden Bradley. Is that core something that separates them from the rest of the pack?
Yes, but also those 4 freshmen are so mature beyond their years. They're all – if you know – here's what I would say to answer your question. To have a 3-year point guard back is incredible. That doesn't happen in college basketball. Like I compare Jaden Bradley to one of yours and my favorite players, Colin Gillespie. Yeah. Like he could pretty much coach Arizona if Tommy went on to – if he took his wife and staff to Hawaii for a week, Jaden Bradley could coach the team. And he could. He really could.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, like it's one thing for a guy to run one practice like an upperclassman, but I think this kid could coach Arizona for a week and not have any slippage. But what separates them is they're built for Big 12 play. In other words, every guy in their top 8 is like a physical specimen. Not necessarily a great athlete or an NBA player, although they got 3 or 4 that, or maybe more that are going to play in the NBA. Tommy Lloyd loves physicality. They were that way at Gonzaga, Sabonis and Karnowski and Timmy and all those guys. And he's doing the same thing at Arizona. They're all physical. They got a physical point guard. The only guy that's not super physical is maybe their best talent, Braden Burries. But Karchenkov should be the bad guy in a James Bond movie, right? and then the 3 guys up front, it's like having a great offensive line. You can't move them.
Yeah, and you did a good job of illustrating how, they couldn't get Momcilovic open because they couldn't penetrate. Iowa State couldn't. And if you can't penetrate, everybody's able to stick around they are scary. Arizona is scary right now. Are they the best team in the country?
Well, see, I think 3 weeks ago they were, and then they had the injuries and the one close loss at Kansas where, I honestly think on a neutral court, and I think Bill Self would say this too, so if it's a Kansas fan listening, I don't really care. But Bill Self would probably say that Arizona would beat Kansas 7 or 8 out of 10 times on a neutral court. Doesn't mean it can't happen in Kansas City next week. But I think they were the best team in the country, and then they had some injuries, a loss, and then Michigan now is the best team. But, Michigan, Arizona, UConn, Duke, and there's one more that I think it might be in that mix. It's like 5 that I think are clearly better than everybody else. with another 5 that can get to a Final Four.
Well, one of those teams
Florida.
that's kind of
Florida, yeah.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Todd Golden, Coach of the Year, maybe?
I'd say, you know what? I'd say, boy, Tommy Lloyd. It'd be
Okay.
hard for me. And I think all those guys are in it. Dusty May. John Shire is a great coach. People don't realize it because he's got, quote, talent. But I know John well, and I know what he's done. He's different than Coach K. Not necessarily in a bad way. He's just modern. You know, Coach K could bludgeon you with his offense from the 70s and 80s. But John Shire is a real thinker, and he's got great talent. They love playing for him. He's in that mix, too.
All right, you got Houston tonight. They have struggled when
Yeah.
the shot clock winds down, when the game clock winds down. You've talked about
Yeah.
this as well. Who can get their bucket to get them out of a jam like Juwan Roberts did last year? Is that something that stands between them and progress in March still?
It could be. It really could be. I love their team. I always do. I love their culture. I think at their best, it's got to be in Kingston Fleming's hands and at the end of a clock, which it is. But I think he even defers sometimes to the upperclassmen. I love Sharp. I love Uzan. Last year, now 2 years ago, we knew who the bailout guy was. It was Jamal Shed.
Yeah.
Last year, LJ Cryer at the end of shot clocks, and he's not even a point guard. But they gave it to him, and he'd wound up, hitting a 3 or a pull-up jumper. And Sharp and Uzan are phenomenal players. They're going to be remembered forever at Houston. But I think it has to be Kingston Fleming's. And to your point, they do not have an inside scorer the way they had with Juwan the last couple of years. Sinak's going to be a good pro. The problem with Sinak and Fleming's, which is unusual for Kelvin, is that I love them both, but they're going to reach their prime way after they leave Houston.
Yeah.
Unlike a Sharp or a Uzan or a Shed, who gave it all they had for 4 and 5 years and ended up being, really good, what we call culture warriors.
So culture is a great topic right now. I was lucky enough to talk to Jay Wright last week about this, what I want to ask you. And it's specific to your game tonight, right? You have Baylor Houston. The way that Jay and the way that Scott have built programs for success, Kelvin has found a way to kind of keep it going. Is that sustainable? Can a guy like Scott Drew build a team with the character that he won a championship with in today's college basketball? Like, is he up against it, Coach?
It's tricky because unlike Kelvin until this year with the 2 great freshmen, Kelvin's always won with 3 stars who became 4 stars, right? Scott, because of their success, different kind of success, but obviously the success speaks for itself. Scott's done it with all these one and done guys. If anything, one and done has been their kryptonite. I mean, because he's a great recruiter. They've had 5 straight years of first-round picks. It's going to be 6 this year, and then you lose Rob Wright, and then because you know Waco well, they've got two guys out for the year with injuries, and Justin Bodo would have been a big factor.
Yeah,
and they've got a big kid. They promised that they would redshirt. Soroy, I think I'm saying that right. Kid from Blair Academy in New Jersey, and they just got behind the 8 ball this year. And then honestly, I've said this: I don't think they have the NIL money that other schools have, but I think that's going to change, and I do think they'll be back. But to really answer your question, I really only think Matt Painter, Tom Izzo, Kelvin. There's only a handful of guys that can win with like 4 and 5 year guys. I was just thinking about this. They've had their share at Baylor, 4 and 5 year guys, but they really built that program the way Gonzaga did with transfers.
Yeah.
They and Gonzaga had transfers before even the transfer portal. And then you had the one and done guys, which Scott has been able to get, great brand right now, but it's almost bit him in the butt because they've been so successful at recruiting those one and done guys.
We got a question. Does Bryce James play next year for Arizona?
I don't know. I mean, I love watching him work out. He seems like an unbelievable kid.
Yeah.
They think he's going to be a role player. I mean, I don't think there was any expectation. I saw him in high school in AAU. I was a little surprised they took him, but when I watch him practice, he looks like he could be a good role player, athletic, learning the system. Everybody inside the program seems to say he's a great young man and not entitled. Never saw that. Great with his teammates when I watch him. He doesn't even know I'm watching him, but I am. And we'll see. We'll see. I think he's having a great time right now, and I think it's also good that he's got a little anonymity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, 2 more questions for you. One, and this is a good one coming off what we just talked about. And it's a tough one for you because you know these guys so well. If you were to build a program from jump right now with a Big 12 coach, who would you choose?
Well, there's so many great ones, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because they're my friends, but not counting Bill Self, who I think is kind of getting close to the end soon. But if you tell me somebody that's in the middle part of their career, certainly there's so many good ones, really. I mean, Grant McCasland, Scott, Drew, TJ Otzelberger, Tommy Lloyd come to mind. They're all in the sweet spot of their careers. Right now, they're all like, I think Scott, if they have a renaissance and they get back to where they were, I do think he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. And I think Tommy Lloyd, being the winningest coach in history in his first 5 years, is certainly trending that way. And the other 2 guys I mentioned, Grant McCasland, excellent coach. TJ, great coach. So, but if you made me pick, I'd probably say Tommy, just because he's taken a blue blood, and it's a blue blood now, okay? And he's kept it at a high level. And with all due respect to my friend Sean Miller, who ran into some difficulty there, he's put that program back where it's been. I think they won 18 Pac-10 and 12 championships. And in their 3rd year, they've just won the outright championship in the toughest league in the country.
Yeah, and a stat that you know, but I just read the other day, 140 wins for him in his first 5 years. That's the most ever. I mean, that the numbers back it up. All right, last conversation for you, quick one.
Yeah.
It's something I've always wanted to ask you. I've always forgotten. I knew you were a badass growing up, really, like in New York City, right? Like you coached for Jack Kraft, you coached at Ohio State, fiery personality. When you go into the media, and you're interviewing it's you interviewing Bob Knight and Steve Alford.
Yeah.
And Knight jumps you, right?
Yeah. Yes.
What the hell were you thinking? Like, did you have to restrain yourself, or were you, because that was what happened? You were asking, for people who don't know, you were asking them about the relationship he was having with Alford. Alford was having success at Iowa, and they weren't necessarily best of buddies anymore. And you had the 2 of them sitting down, which was an amazing interview. Yeah. And you asked a normal question, and, he did what Bob Knight does, and he jumps you.
He jumped me. Now, let me put it in context, because there's so much context here. I became very close to Coach Knight towards the end. Like, anybody who knows Coach Knight knows that you get on his good side and his bad side, sometimes within the same day, okay? And I was on both a couple times. That was my first year at ESPN, and we were doing a game in Dallas. It was Iowa, Texas Tech. And I said to Steve that day, I said, hey, when we interview you and Coach Knight, because he still had great respect for Coach Knight. That was his college coach. And Steve was an All-American. I'm going to ask you a question. You just knock it out of the park. Well, when I asked him the question, Coach Knight intercepted it. Like I threw a bad pass. And he started, going off on me. And as soon as he started going crazy, I said, I'm gonna stay calm, and I'm gonna ask him the next question like nothing happened. So he gets done intercepting the question I had for Steve, and then I said something to Coach, and then I think it registered to him I was not trying to set him up, and so I could tell on his face. And then that day, our producer said, I got to send this to Bristol. This will be on SportsCenter tonight," which it was.
Oh yeah.
The president of ESPN at the time was Eric Shapiro, and he called me that day and said, "Great TV, man. That was awesome. You got Coach Knight to blow up." That wasn't my point. Years later, and we have time for a quick story because I don't want to.
Of course.
All right. So among the things that happened, now you have to understand, Pete, I literally knew more about Coach Knight than anybody at ESPN. I studied this man since I was 15 years old. And then I coached in Ohio for 8 years. And I coached at Ohio State where he played, and he's from Orrville, Ohio, right outside of Akron. So I knew a lot about Coach Knight. So the final, and he wasn't great on TV, okay, let's face it. But I knew a lot about him, and so we got to be fairly friendly. And the very last week of his career at ESPN, John Saunders and I, the great late John Saunders, we were doing the NIT in New York City, which I've done forever. And it was always cool for me to go back home to New York and Madison Square Garden. So we get a call that week from one of our bosses, and they said, hey, would you mind if Coach Knight makes it a 3-man booth? And I said, absolutely, don't mind. I think it would be great. So, and again, keep in mind, I studied this guy like I studied Ulysses S. Grant when I was in some of my American history classes. Okay, so we get the game started, NIT semifinal, and the ball goes up, and they go up and down the court, and the guy takes a bad shot. And I said to Coach Knight, Coach, that's not a shot you'd have let Buckner take. Now, Quinn Buckner is his all-time favorite player, okay? Olympian, the whole deal, Boston Celtics. And he looked at me, and he said, he had a smile, and he goes, you're right, Fran. He'd have been sitting on that bench so fast next to me, he wouldn't have known what hit him. And then a couple minutes later, I said, Coach, what was it like bringing West Point down to the Garden? Because I knew he coached there, right? And that was always a big deal in the 60s.
Yeah.
And he said, Fran, we get on the 339 out of Poughkeepsie, and we would be at Penn Station at 4:19, and I'd send the team to the locker room, and I'd go get a hot dog. And so at the end of the first game, both semifinals, John Saunders was like in heaven, and he called George Bodenheimer, and he said, are you watching? Are you watching? Coach Knight's really good. And so that meant a lot to me. But what meant more was when the game ended, he slaps me on the back and goes, that was enjoyable. And then more importantly, I got a text from his son, Pat, who I'm close to. And he said, I got a text saying, and he was scouting for the Pacers. And he said, thanks for taking care of my dad. And so that was something really cool. And then Coach and I stayed in close contact. And, a lot of us who did get to know him always knew there's two sides to the man. Was he a bully? Yes, he was. Did he have a big heart? He did. Very complicated, but you and I know people like that coming in and out of our lives. So,
yeah, I love Coach Knight because I just love the figure, the mystique, and I think I've read and listened to A Season on the Brink like 100 times just because he really is. I study these guys like you too, like my father would study military generals. I just think it's like super interesting. I really do. So, Coach, I have a great call tonight. I can't thank you enough. I love chatting with you, and I know you're a busy dude.
Well, hey, listen, I love what you're doing. You're coming along, and you are becoming a really good play-by-play announcer, and I'm not surprised. I saw you at the beginning, and keep up the great work.
Yeah, I sat right now. My first game, ESPN2, you said, where the hell's John Shambi? I said, hey, sorry, buddy.
Who is this?
We had a great time.
Who is this clown? Who is this clown?
Oh, thanks so much, Coach.
I tried to Google you, and there wasn't even a Google on you. Hey, man, keep up the great work.
All right, Coach, have a great call. See you. Oh, Fran Fraschilla, a complete legend. And he was so generous to me that first game. He walked me around to everybody because the game was at Baylor. It was Baylor Seton Hall. He was introducing me to everybody. And, like, for instance, I wouldn't know an assistant from Baylor. He'd be like, oh, you don't know this guy? Like, he's on the news. Come on, he's a star. And he really made me feel good. And I had a great call. Probably because I was working with him. And people ask me, who's the best guy? No offense to anybody else. Who's the best guy you've called a game with? And I say Fran, because not only is he a wealth of information, right? But he knows TV, man. He just knows. He knows it. He is a talent. And what a great story about Bob Knight.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Hey, it's Zach Gelb. We're talking NFL and college football. Plus, we have some of the biggest interviews in sports media. You got to check out the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports, weekdays, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. And make sure you subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to Babbel.com or download the app.
If you want a Boston sports show that's going to insult you as a fan and only cares about getting back at their old hosts or who Bill Belichick is dating, then keep tuning your radio. But if you want a sports show that's wicked good, wicked smart, wicked passionate, then you need the Wicked Boston Show with me, Cam Stewart. It is the only Boston sports talk show that is by the fans and for the fans. One voice in this city where the only BS is Boston sports. The Wicked Boston Show.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
Chris Level joining us from Lubbock. Boy, we have a lot to talk about. And you're at the nerve center of the Texas Tech athletic department. Your work on all the broadcasts for Texas Tech. And of course, I listened to Locked On Texas Tech. And I was talking, Chris, before you came on. When Joey got the job at Texas Tech, I would listen if I had a basketball game or I was doing the Inside the 12 show. I'd listen to Locked On Texas Tech, and that montage at the beginning where Joey would say, everything runs through Lubbock. At the 3-4 years ago, that was kind of like, oh, that's cute. That's neat. Like from the outside world, it's like because everybody loves Joey. I love Joey, and then you're like, oh boy, present day. Everything does run through Lubbock. Like it's the truth, dude. It's come to fruition. It's like it was spoken into existence. As somebody who's so close to it, how have you handled that perception change? You said it on Locked On. People see the double T now. It elicits a response that's almost palpable.
Yeah, Pete, first of all, thanks for having me on. I will have you know I've seen Britney Spears in concert twice over my last 10 or 15 years of life. Yes. Yes, once in Vegas and once in Dallas. So there you go. So there's that. Joey said that in his first year after they beat Texas, they went for it on fourth down in that game 8 times and converted 6 of them. Okay. And it was probably, like got caught up in the moment. I think that he kind of was like, didn't really want that statement out, but the internal video folks put it out and it was like, I'll live with it there. I'm going to get grief for it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But to your point, Pete, in the modern day, they saw when the realignment happened and Texas OU left, there was probably a lot of schools looking around saying somebody can emerge here. Somebody needs to be, the benchmark, or like, why not us kind of mentality. And then you factor that in with the NIL game and the way that they're well resourced. And I think right now BYU and Texas Tech have kind of spread their wings a bit. It hasn't been perfect for either program or department. But I think there's some, because I think when you heard me say that the other day, you go beat Iowa State on the road, upset the fourth-ranked team in the country in their building. Your softball program throws 2 no-hitters, and your track team won the men's and women's Big 12 championships in the indoor on the same day. And so it was just kind of this weird, collection of things that happened on a Saturday, but you're fresh off of a Big 12 championship in football. So their plan is working. Will it continue to work? I don't know, but their plan is working right now for sure.
And a little plug here. I was on the call for that second no-hitter for KT's big no-hitter. Justin Nusser had me on the call. I was dialed in from North Texas. It was an awesome game. And really, that first game back, there's 1,600 people at the ballpark. That breaks a record. It was almost like we're talking softball now, right? They were really thirsty to see that team again. It had been so long. But that's kind of another example of the North Star that Texas Tech is becoming in college sports, and certainly in the Big 12. As far as basketball is concerned specifically, I want to talk about the good before I talk about the concern. JT Toppin, that injury hits. I was talking with King McClure about it last week on our Inside the 12 show, and I was like, hey, King, this guy is a player of the year candidate. Like, these guys can't – it's hard to think that they could still make a push and be a real player in March. And he was like, look, dude, I'm just telling you. Like, I played for Grant McCasland. I know Jeff Linder. Like, these guys might surprise you. And really a surprise to us, probably no surprise to you guys. Like, the progress has been made since JT has gone down. You lose to TCU, sure, but it is the Big 12. But how has Texas Tech been able to move forward? As somebody that's on the inside, if you can give a specific reason or two why there's been success in the wake of that, what could be a debilitating injury.
Yeah, and that, man, injuries are the worst, man. I just feel like, whether you're a Texas Tech fan or a Big 12 fan or college basketball fan, watching, a guy like Richie Saunders at BYU or obviously JT, it's just unfortunate because those guys are so good and the heartbeat in some ways of their teams. But it was a bit of a shock to the system, right? And you got to go through the stages of grief, like, uh-oh, and like, what now? And, but you get around Grant and he just like infuses this belief. I'm like, because I think he was the only one that wasn't surprised that they beat Iowa State Saturday. I'm like, they hadn't lost at home. They're just waiting for you on a Saturday afternoon. I'm like, this, the Vegas folks thought this would be a bit lopsided, and you just come out and you punch Iowa State in the mouth. Now, granted, as you pointed out, what happened to you on Tuesday night, I was with my broadcast partner, Jeff Haxton, and I'm like, the shoe's on the other foot this night because TCU rolled into your building and kind of was bullying you a little bit. You looked tired and all that. But what are they changing into? They are spreading the ball out a bit more. I think that's ideally what they want to do. That there's not as many paint touches. They're kind of the different post players. There's some depth there. That what Grant would tell you, these were guys that were supposed to have been playing all along, but they've been hurt too. But we just knew they were going to come back. So you never really have this full collection of a team at any given point, other than I think a week and a half to 2 week stretch where everybody was available, everybody is practicing and all that. Because by the time these other guys came back, you have this 2 weeks and then JT gets hurt. Now we've got to change who we are again. But they'll be very competitive because their point guard is elite. Christian Anderson is a dude. I think we're kind of probably thinking that this was the last home game that he would play in. But when teams like TCU did, when they put 2 on the ball and they take him out of it, it gets a bit tricky because you don't have anybody that you have to defend in the paint like you did with JT that could spread the floor out and all those things. So I think that people were excited after that 3-game winning streak after JT got hurt. And then I think maybe the reality set in against TCU. So I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But Grant will do a really good job. And what are you going to get on Saturday night in Provo, Utah? I have no idea because I'm not sure if we can figure out what BYU is. And I don't know how Texas Tech will bounce back from this first loss post JT Toppin.
If we're talking Sunday morning about a win for Texas Tech, at BYU, or we're talking about Texas Tech success later in March, who are the other guys besides Christian Anderson that you see will come to the forefront and get an opportunity to become like, I don't know, a familiar name, right? If you can make an impact in March, you can live forever.
Yeah, because I think Christian and Donovan Atwell have been consistent throughout the whole season. Okay, so you wouldn't include them, but Jalen Petty is the name. Jalen Petty is a freshman guard. You had a big lead in Ames on Saturday, and the crowd's going crazy. They'd called you for, I think, 7 or 8 straight fouls on 7 or 8 straight possessions, and you're giving them the lead back, and you were in foul trouble. And Jalen Petty comes down, and he just buries a 3 that was contested. He's a 6-foot freshman guard that's got like a 42-inch vertical. Then he comes down the next trip, and he hits another contested jumper in traffic, and it was a little 5-0 run. And then before you know it, it started something else. So he's kind of the variable. If he comes along and takes the next step, look out. If he struggles or can't score or can't take the pressure off of Christian and Donovan, you're going to be in trouble. But he's the absolutely the name that I would give you. He was also on the free throw line at the very end of the game when you're trying to put it away. And pressure is a real thing. And I think he went 1 of 5 at the very end and made that game a little bit closer than it needed to be. Everybody was feeling kind of the tightening right there at the very end. But that's a freshman for you.
You never want to see guys get injured, and you never want to almost give up a win on the road in a hostile environment like Iowa State. But those are both challenges that we're in real time watching Texas Tech work through. Is there almost an internal source of strength that you're seeing come through this team, having met so many challenges this year? We talked about the bevy of injuries throughout the year. Obviously, the Toppin one's a haymaker. But even that game, the ability to weather the storm on the road, you were there, I watched. That was something special, man. I mean, that was literally – I was doing the softball game, and I had the friggin' hoops game on. I was, like, watching both, because I wanted to see how Texas Tech would handle those headshots, right, in the second half. And they handled them really well. And the challenges to me seem like it's making this team a little bit more grizzled, I guess.
Well, anything is possible. And this is a team that can, whether it's with JT or without, they know they can. I mean, you're seeing these bracket projections, Duke and Michigan and UConn and Arizona and all that. Well, you've beaten multiple 1 seeds. And really my brain had a hard time computing some of these because it just doesn't make sense. Like this team is not supposed to beat this team, but this is where this head coach and Grant's just really good in these spots. I think he relishes nobody's given us a chance, and he gets his kids to believe, and he's got guards that can make shots. So when you do that, you can be a pain to deal with in the NCAA tournament. Now, if the shots don't fall, you can get a bit early in a single elimination tournament, but they believe. The problem that they're having right now is there's too much up and then too much. They're having a hard time stringing some of these together in the way, because big Houston win, they go lose in Orlando to UCF. Big Arizona win, they turn right around and lose to Arizona State the next game, and that's when JT got hurt. You beat Iowa State, you turn around and beat or lose to TCU. So that's kind of, Grant told me in the post game the other night, he's like, we're going to have to ramp this thing back up. Because I think he's very mindful, and all coaches are this time of year. You keep the foot on the gas with your guys too much, and you're going to blow a gasket. And I just think he's trying to be mindful of riding them so hard when everybody's tired, everybody's been through the gauntlet and all that. But they are quite capable of making things very interesting for a few to 4 rounds in this tournament, maybe even further. I don't know. It just depends on draw and matchup, but they're capable. But what do we get Saturday night? I have no idea.
And I think Grant is a huge part of it, right? He's not even an intangible because he's the head of the snake. But like we were talking yesterday on the show, we had Fraschilla on, and we were like, hey, if you were starting a program in the Big 12, who would you start your program with as a head coach? And I said Grant. I mean, like, and this is I'm not preaching to the choir. Like, I think he's that guy, and that he was right there with Fran. Fran had it down to Grant or Tommy Lloyd. I just think that he's that good, and I think that we could see something exciting that he gets to guide that team towards. One question I have, one more hoops question before some football, and then I'll get you out of here. What's your biggest fear as far as a weakness for Texas Tech? Is it, like you mentioned, teams kind of banging around Christian Anderson, getting him out of his rhythm, like you mentioned at TCU, or guys just going right down Main Street, exploiting maybe some of the weakness left in the paint by JT Toppin's vacancy?
Yeah, if you're going to play a team that's got multiple post players that are and they played Cincinnati, a week and a half ago, and then they got Mustafa Cham and Baba Miller, right? These are 6'11", 7'2". You don't have problems with those types because they're trying to play above your head and all that, but there's not a physicality with those types of players. There's just a high skill level. You can hang with that. TCU brought in David Punch and then Xavier Edmonds, and these are 6'7", 250 that are trying to bully you and trying to root you out and all that. And you struggled with that, and I that part would concern me. The other type of team and that's why I'm kind of curious about like what BYU does, because they've got a few of these pieces. But like when UCF beat you, they basically just spread you out, and they joystick the matchup that they wanted, and it was just like, we're going to find the weakest matchup that we want, and we're going to go one-on-one. We're going to play one-on-one basketball. So they took your team defensive aspect away. Some teams don't have a lot of good one-on-one players. It needs to be scheme and movement and cutting and this and that. UCF was just like, we're going to eye you up, and they've got enough guys that could do that. Obviously, with BYU, they've got Rob Wright and AJ DeBonsa and all those guys, but those are the two kind of bugaboos that I would say that kind of cause you some problems. Because any time that you've lost, JT or not, it's typically been because you've just been crushed on the glass. That's really to dumb it down. But when you can't keep guys out of the paint, that equals the offensive rebounds and second chance points and all those things. So but see, Josh Jefferson with Ames, great player. He's more of a get the ball at the free throw line. He's looking to pass it. So he wasn't this physical thing like that. So anyway, we'll see what draw they get, but that's what's shocking, because Arizona, they're awesome with their physicality, and you went into that building and got a win.
Which is crazy, because that is the physicality, I think, that separates them. So that speaks to real potential for Tech. Going into the Big 12 tournament, you're close to the basketball ops guys a lot, obviously working with coaches, talking with coaches a lot. What have you heard about the floor? I was getting educated this morning. I did not know, Chris, that it was like, I don't know, they're promoting it as being beneficial from a basketball standpoint, like the X's and O. I had no clue about that. Have you heard anything that you can share about that from a basketball standpoint?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was talking about the UCF game a while ago, because one of those courts is actually at a facility in Orlando. Johnny Dawkins was a big proponent of this and said, yeah, our guys have played on it and practiced on it and all this. This is apparently, this deal has been in the works for several months. So this is back in late summer, early fall, whenever I think a lot of the basketball coaches became aware of it. So this wasn't some new – the rest of us just found out about it, a month ago, whatever it was. But this has been in the works for a while. And when we went to Orlando, there was some discussion that Grant was going to take his guys over there and let them, shoot around on this particular floor. Didn't have time, got in late, didn't have time to be able to do that. But they will tell you, and I think Grant trusts Coach Dawkins and some of the other folks he's talked to, there's a little bit more give to it. It's a little safer, and I think that's what everybody – now, the first time somebody falls on this thing, or the first time something weird happens, whether it's in the girls or the men's tournament, and you're going to get the discussion, would that have happened on the wooden surface or whatever? But I think that's and I will tell you too, Texas Tech actually looked at getting one of these floors about a year and a half ago for their main floor in the United Supermarkets arena. And at the time, it just didn't make sense from a cost standpoint because you had to rent it year by year. You couldn't just buy it. And so I think that, but I was told by some that don't be surprised if this is fairly normal in the next 3 to 4 years because it's a revenue generator. And what does every school need right now? You're trying to play the NIL game.
Yeah.
It's a whole new way to generate, massive amounts of revenue. And I think that this could become more normal than not going forward.
That's great insight. Football stuff. What is the vibe for you around Texas Tech's ability to sustain this magic? Because I believe it's very much there, but I also, my concern as a fan for any team is like in this new atmosphere, how do you sustain it? I'm even interested to see how Indiana does this year. I mean, people are like, oh, okay, Josh Hoover, plug and play. Like, slow down now. This is big time college football, right? I mean, that was a hell of a team, but this is going to be a much different team for Tech. How does it look as far as the ability to sustain greatness moving forward and making the next step so you can advance to the title game and win it? Because that's what people want there.
Yeah, P, I think that's very well said because it's easy to get good in sports. The most difficult thing is to stay good. Complacency, just all the things where, you're the hunted now and all the stuff, right? So I think around here they have first of all, I think being well-resourced, as long as that is there, that they can compete at a very high level. How they, because smart money always beats big money. They feel like the smartest way to go about it is being as good as they possibly can be in the trenches. So that's where a lot of the investment has come in, is along the lines of scrimmage. They retained most of their offensive line. They added one and brought him in, Jordan Church from Louisville. But then they brought in, I think, because again, their defensive line last year was just exceptional. I don't know if it will be as good as this year's or, as this upcoming year, but it wasn't for lack of trying. And that may be more about just what was available out there in the portal. But that's where the investment was. They brought in, I think, 4 to 5 defensive tackles. They brought in 2 defensive ends. They maybe even flirted with bringing in more. But Adam Trick and Trey White, Mateen from Wake Forest, Bryce Butler from Washington, brought a kid from Oregon State in, on and on it went. And they retained a lot of what was still here. But that's where they feel like if we're good up front, because not everybody is in the Big 12. I love this league. This is the only league that, I was married the day of the very first Big 12 game ever, and it was between Texas Tech and Kansas State, August 31st, 1996. But in this new version of the Big 12, not everybody has quality big people or enough of them. They may have a few, and I think they felt like if we're really good up front, it separates us. This is why Utah was really good. This is why BYU was really good. Arizona State to a certain extent. And that's what I think they feel like gives them staying power. And they're trying to spend their resources on some very high-end high school recruits too. And again, what are those positions? Offensive tackle, edge rusher. So that's kind of how they're playing it. They're in this, Joey would tell you, we're in the state of Texas. I can go get a really good receiver anywhere. There's a million of them in this state. Probably not a million, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally know what you're saying. Yeah.
But that's
especially with Joey's ability to recruit.
Exactly.
So that's actually you almost take that for granted, his ability to just do so well among the high school ranks. Last one for you, and this was something that I was so I don't know, it was just really moving to see this year in a very good way. That Texas Tech, all these highly touted transfers, recruits, whatever you want to say, but everybody, the cohesion was there. It didn't seem, dude, I wasn't there, you were, but I didn't hear much about any bad apples in the bunch. And we're talking about football. You got 100+ dudes. It's just kind of a numbers game. But how did you guys get all these high character dudes that could work together? Because like you said, not only is it smart money, but it's also thoughtful money, right? Like thoughtful emotionally. Like these guys are they're good dudes, it seems like. How does Joey and everybody over there, how are you guys keeping that standard high while getting the guys that are high quality?
Yeah, Pete, I think Joey's a lot of things, but the gift that he has is the culture building part of what it takes in this day and age of college football. I think that some coaches have fought this. Some coaches are not comfortable with the way things are going now. And some would point and say, well, it's easier for Coach McGuire since they can go get good players, this and that. Well, I mean, a lot of people get good players and it doesn't always work. Okay?
Yeah, I think that's rubbish. I truly do. I think that's horse crap.
But he's got the gift of, he's a connector, and he's the same energy guy all the time. After a win, after a loss, in the spring, in the fall, it's the same guy. And they do a lot of these things because your race is against the clock. It's really you versus you in this time frame when you're putting these teams together, because they've got 18 early enrollees from high school ranks. You've got 20-plus guys from a portal class. Half of your team is brand new. But they also are very particular about who they keep here. And those guys set the tone. That's why, like, Baron Morton was criticized around here last year. But Baron Morton and Jacob Rodriguez, those guys were like the face of the program, the culture guys. They deserve as much credit as anybody, and Joey would be the first one to tell you that. And so there's a strong nucleus of players that have been here for 2 or 3 years now that get handed that baton and that responsibility to kind of make it work. But he's great at it, and they also, like everybody, try to vet, how much do you really love this? Do you love what football does for you, or do you really love football? Because there's a difference. And I think they've tried to, more often than not, find the guys that truly love it and are in it for the right reasons and want to win, because some people are in it for the paycheck. But yeah, Joey's made for college football in 2025-26 in this new era. So fun guy to be around him. It's a pleasure to be around him all the time and cover his team, and never a dull moment.
The love of the game and the quality of the people shining through, dude, all the way through, guys like you. Appreciate your time, Level, for real. Thank you very much. I know you're busy. Safe travels to Provo, and look forward to seeing some success from the Red Raiders in March, dude.
Hey, man, keep crushing it. You were kind to have me on, man. Keep hope alive, and we'll talk next time.
You got it, man. Take it easy, Chris. And let's hope. And I have. We'll end it how we started. I think Level will be at another Britney Spears concert soon, right? And she'll be better on the other side of all this madness, because I think Britney will get well. I know Texas Tech is well. Chris Level's the man. I've been listening to that guy for as long as I have been affiliated with the Big 12, because when I'm lucky enough to call games, especially Texas Tech games, there are certain programs you can listen to get you ready. And Locked on Texas Tech is one of them. Locked on Baylor might be another.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference, because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.